morning, everybody. Your Excellency, congratulations on another fantastic event. It's your third year doing this. Take us through the idea. Take us through Investopia, your vision, what you were thinking about when you got it started, and where we are today.
Thank you very much, Anthony, and thank you everyone for coming in, flying in, being here, being in this wonderful city, the Emirates of Abu Dhabi, the country of the UAE, being part of Investopia, the third edition this year. We have a great agenda looking up for this day and tomorrow as well, but it's an idea that started about 3 years ago. Sitting with my team, looking at these conferences globally, we wanted something that doesn't any relates with any conference in the world. Something new, something will add value to your thinking, will add value to the aspects of your investments. So we made up a new word. Investopia doesn't exist in the English dictionary, not yet. So we brought the word invest and the word utopia together. The utopia is a forbidden city, but invest comes in and connected to it, how can you invest in new economies and new investments? The other narrative I had with my team, and that was a bit of a longer debate, do we focus on the future economy or do we focus on the new economies? And the latter was actually what we resided with. What does new economy means? New economy is around the corner, 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, maybe a year, I'll accept a year. But something that you guys are ready to invest in, something that you're ready to thinking about it. This is already in the research and development. Technology is already being proofed, and I think that's something where the investment comes in and the aspects of it. So the word Investopia comes in is a huge aspect of bringing both these two together and really focusing on the aspect of getting this up and running. And this is our third year. We have grown now. We have about 2,500 people. We have a lot of people. Thank you all for flying and coming in, and hopefully this is going to be a meaningful 2 days events that we meet a lot of people. There's a lot of meeting rooms. We made sure there's a lot of place to collide ideas, investments. There is a marketplace where you can actually announce if there's an investment you want to announce. There's a place for you guys to really speak and signing MOUs. So we made it for you. As Investopia is a platform for investors and technology ideas, and I think that's a place where we would love to take it forward.
When I've been coming to the country since 2005, and every time I land here, I'm just overwhelmed by the growth and overwhelmed by the economic opportunity. And when I think of the country, I think of a country of abundance, but also a country where it's set up for people to win. It's no zero-sum game in the UAE. So tell us about your economic vision, but also the economic vision of the country and where we're going over the next 5 years.
So let's talk about the last 3 years. I think when we look at COVID-19, when that call came up and said, yeah, Abdullah, you're going to be running the Ministry of Economy. And I think that's a position where I thought about, okay, how can we really look at our economic policies and revamp them? So we managed to start off with, number one is the 100% ownership. The law that gave ownership to investor to look at the investment, that by itself gave us 275,000 new companies, new bloodline into the economy. We reached 788,000 new companies in the UAE, and we were targeting 1 million company in 2031. I think this target will be hit even earlier. But with that aspect first. Second one was the aspect of talent. For investors today, looking at the UAE, they want to invest. Targeting talent to bring in was a huge aspect. So Golden Visa came in, Green Visa came in. We gave Golden Visa for 10 years, Green Visa for 5 years. What does it mean? This means that people can come in, reside, be part of the nation's growth, be part of the kind of thinking, and be part as well of the growth of economy. And with that said, but down the line, we were as well set in the grey list, in the FATF. And from the platform here, I'm announcing that the FATF took away the UAE off the grey list. But this was one of the fastest nations in the world getting off the grey list in the world. Means that the UAE is due diligence going through, making sure it's a safe environment for investors. We ranked second behind the US in greenfield investments in 2023. We grew by 28%. What does it mean is there's a lot of, as well, investment coming into greenfield areas, and shows the economic policies moving forward. Now, the leadership in the UAE, the vision leadership, really said His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the president of the UAE, and his brother, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the vice president, the prime minister, ruler of Dubai, as well, want us to double the economy. In doubling the economy, the aspect of moving the new economy, talking about it in Investopia, talking about sustainable economy, that's the areas we're thinking about, and that's the area we're moving forward. Anthony, I think this is a two-way thing here.
Two-way thing. All right.
Right, you can't keep asking me. I need to ask you a question.
Let me ask one more question, Your Excellency, if you don't mind, because I think I think that people here are more fascinated to hear you speak. Frankly, the putting together the Emirates, and you just mentioned the Grey List. Tell us about the spirit of cooperation that's taking place in the country, and tell us about, the economic growth in the other Emirates besides Abu Dhabi and Dubai.
I think when we look at the economy of the UAE, the beauty of it is that every emirate has its own strength. Back in November, we launched the UAE cluster economy. The objective of it is, from the ministry, is to bring all these 7 emirates. Everyone has a strength in areas. We defined 5 different clusters, and when we define these 5 different clusters, we defined them on the benefit of all 7 emirates can really benefit on. And the aspect of that as well was thinking about how can we bring investments in new economies, but in a cluster manner, thinking that Emirates of Dubai and Abu Dhabi has a strength, but Emirates of Sharjah, Al Quwain, Fujairah, Ras Al Khaimah, and Ajman, the 5 other emirates of the UAE, as well has their own strengths and as well have their own benefits. So for instance, in the Emirates of Al Quwain, we worked with them on the blue economy. We launched the blue economy a year and a half with the collaboration of Ministry of Economy and the Emirates of Al Quwain. And today they are going to be the aspects of selling their carbon credit on platforms globally. With all the mangroves they have one of the largest mangrove trees in the world. And for information as well, mangrove trees are 3 times more than the Amazon in collecting carbon and preserving as well the nature. So they are actually looking at the environment, preserving the environment, and actually looking at an economy where we build that kind of aspect to it. They're going to take it globally. They've been invited globally to speak at the moment, how they are actually invested in the blue economy, and how do we look at companies looking at the blue economy aspect. So these are, for instance, other economies in the Emirates looking at something different, something where they are strength and strong at, and the aspect of actually growing that to different levels of the Emirates. And with the Ministry of Economy and the team and the leadership is how do we bring this together by clustering it and building that aspect. It's my turn?
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Anthony,
let me get ready.
Well, I'm not going to ask you about the presidential election over stage, but...
Oh, my God.
I'm going to ask you about something dear to your heart. Anthony, I've seen you coming to the UAE many, many times a year. Why do you choose the UAE as a destination, as a partnership with Investopia, and you being here every time?
Well, I'm just so happy you didn't ask me about the presidential election. But no, listen, this is, when I think about the world and I think about the position that the United Arab Emirates has in the world, this is the country of the future. When you come to these beautiful cities, they're clean, they're safe, there's an economic environment that's grounded in the law. The regulatory environment, and I've said this in my country, which you know I love, the United States, that we need to depoliticize the regulatory environment. We can't think about the regulatory environment from the hard left or from the hard right, but think about it the way the UAE does it, which is right or wrong. Is it right or wrong for the country? Is it right or wrong for the business? And so this is a nation that is growing, but I really do think it's about the leadership. When I think of the president of this country, who I adore, he is a benevolent person, he's a kind person, and it just energizes the whole country. And so for me, when I'm here, I feel very much at home. And I'm looking at one of my fellow Jumbos, Khaldoon, in the audience here. We both went to Tufts University. It is a place of great hospitality. It's a great place for economic innovation. You know I have very large positions in cryptocurrency.
Bitcoin is doing very well.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. Every time I come to the UAE, Bitcoin goes up, so I may stay longer as a result of this. But I will say this about you. You're at the forefront of the digital asset revolution in terms of the way the country thinks about that regulation. And so for me, I'm sorry to be so long-winded, but I would say these three last things. There's a blueprint for growth here, but there's a blueprint for cultural hospitality. And there's also a beautiful neutrality about this country, which I hope that you guys maintain. Because the world is an uncertain place today, and we need people to come together. And the United Arab Emirates represents that to me as it relates to the broader global civilization. So those are the reasons why I'm here. And, I love the place.
One more for me. I think, what do you see beyond 2024? How do you see the world and how do you see the economy? I want a perspective on that. And as an investor yourself.
So here's what I would say, because without going too much into the American political system, what I will say is the demographics are about to change politically in the United States. And so this will likely be the last election where we have a combined age of 160 running for the American presidency. And so why is that? You can laugh at that, by the way, because it is laughable. But when you think about where we're going, there will be younger leaders. There'll be leaders that will try new things and sort of get off of what I would call the baby boomer dogma in the country. And so I think that's going to be very positive for the world. And I think there'll be a healing in the United States. People see it now with some levels of polarity, but I see the opposite. There's so much that we have in the country that brings us together. We just need to get, in my opinion, a younger, fresher look at American leadership. Why is that important? Well, the United States still has roughly 1/4 of the world's GDP. And I think we need to rethink our relationship with China. And I think we need to rethink what the economic footprint will look like. But I'm very, very optimistic post-2024 because anytime you get that demographic change or that generational change, I think it represents something new and something related to growth, long-term growth.
It's over to you.
What's that?
Over to you.
Over to me. Okay.
We're moderating ourselves.
Yeah, no. You got me really thinking about that. So I know you value partnerships, and you're always seeking a dialogue with different stakeholders, not only in the region but globally. Tell us about some recent things that you've done on the partnership side in terms of bringing industry, sectors of the economy into the nation, and how you think about it.
Well, there's a couple of areas which we can start off with that. I think with the UAE hosting the COP28 just a few months ago, the UAE was on a track of understanding that we're going beyond oil. His Highness, the President of the UAE, maybe 5 years ago, stood up in the World Government Summit and announced that 2050 is going to be the last year where we ship the last barrel from the UAE. And from that, we took it on to say, well, all right, what's the economy after oil? And the thinking behind that went as well, how can we reuse our strengths in thinking about different economies? With that kind of vision and the aspect of setting the narrative, we worked very tirelessly as well on the circularity and circular economy in the last few years. Coming up with COP28, giving that circular economy is going to be an aspect of investment coming in. We've seen factories opening in, creating, for instance, there's a lot of electric vehicles. Battery is going to expire. How do you circle these batteries back into the economy, for instance, using there's 80 to 90% of these batteries of electric cars is actually circular. When we look at cooking oil today can be sustainable aviation fuel. You can reuse that cooking oil back and creating SAF and maybe LCAF, the low carbon aviation fuel, into the new airlines aspect. And these two factories that started investing in the UAE, opening up in the Emirates of Abu Dhabi and in Dubai with local greenfield investments, really thinking about that. So what we did in the economy as well, in the ministry, we started putting some decrees, some cabinet decrees, for instance, in how to get rid of car batteries, making sure it goes back into the economy, making sure that there's factories availability to look at these stuff. Now, we have on circularity, we have more other fields, such as transportations and stuff. So there's a lot of thinking in the economy with the multinational companies on circularity, looking at the economy. And now, from that as well, we're thinking about circular trade. How can we look at other countries where we can actually send some of these items and products and back in as well, a circularity aspect where we can recycle them here in the UAE and send them back. So creating these kind of homogeneous ecosystem for the factories, for the investments, but into the saving the world, so reducing CO2 emissions and aspects. So that's one part of new economy in the UAE that we're focusing on. The other part is when we looked at trade, we looked at these comprehensive economic partnership agreements. We have signed with more than 11 countries. We're signing up to 26 countries in the next 7 years, opening up new markets. So investors, what do they see is they see new economies in the UAE. There's new policies and regulations coming in. But they see as well the market of the UAE is 9 million population. But these trade agreements opens you up to 40, 50% of the world population by reducing tariff on the barriers, on countries and the borders, allowing more tradable products comes in, added value in the UAE, and move beyond borders. That kind of thinking, where we are looking at it from the kind of the war room in the Ministry of Economy, looking at how can we anticipate this, how can we understand this, and now moving away from the grey list and the FATF, allows us as well to really think about now how do we sustain it, stay away from the grey list, but as well encourage investors to look at the UAE system as a place where you can expand. And I always say the UAE is a scale-up nation. It's a place to scale up the ideas. It's a place to really bring up the ideas and really push them forward. And I think this is the aspect where we are at the moment.
So we have a couple minutes left. I'm always dying to ask you this question because you see it in such a crystal clear way, but I run into people in the United States and around the world that have never been here. And my reaction to them is, what are you waiting for? But what is the message that you would say to somebody that's never been to your country? What would they find in your country when they arrived here?
50 years ago, if you arrived to the country, it's a patch of desert. And I think I'll give a few minutes on the story. And it's a story in His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid book, where he said that he contracted a couple of consultants back in the 70s and 60s to give him an idea what to do with Dubai. And the consultant came back and said, forget doing anything in Dubai. You guys in the desert, it's too hot. You don't have the infrastructure, and there's a lot of scarcity. But the consultants, with all respect to all consultants, didn't understand one thing in the values of the Arab tribesmen is the abundance. And I want to stand on the word abundance because our leadership has a lot of abundance, a lot of give and land of scarcity. With that, UAE, 50 years down the line, you see what you see. You are here in one of the largest metropolitan cities, the largest airports, the largest airlines, the largest hotels, tallest tower in the world. That's abundance. And the UAE leadership will always be giving. I remember when COVID-19 hit, the first message from His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, the president of the UAE, said, we'll take care of everybody. Citizen, resident, or a tourist. And that's the abundance you will find it from an Arab tribesman who lives in the desert, understand the scarcity, but we all have the value of giving. And that will always be here in the UAE.
Leave it at that. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. you.